Good morning. Today we're going to talk about building your first fitness sprint document. This is a document you're going to use when you run your first fitness design sprint. So to get to this, just come to phase 5, start your first fitness design sprint. And the first thing we want to put up is the basic meta information. So I highly recommend keeping this to a 14-day sprint. Max is your first fitness design sprint. And the reason for this is it's short enough where you can manage it. This is going to be a little clumsy for you on your first one. And at 14 days, what you want to do when you first start your fitness design sprints is you want to make them shorter, because when you're starting to analyze your own fitness and what you need to do to become fit, you want to get as many as bats at possible in. So you want to make your experiments that you're running pretty small. Later on, you can run a month-long fitness design sprints or 3-month-long fitness design sprints, because over time you will hone in on what things elicit you getting closer to your definition of fitness as you described earlier. So at the beginning, I highly recommend keeping these to 14 days. You might even want to do 7 days and start doing 7-day sprints at the beginning. It doesn't really matter. It just needs to be longer than 1 or 2 days, because that's not enough time to really test anything out. And then just insert your start date and your end date. Next, you want to go back and copy in your definition of fitness. I've just put in mine for right now, which is to be able to do 10 perfect pull-ups, 50 perfect push-ups, and run 5K in 21 minutes, which is proving to be really hard. I might have bit off more than I can chew in that, which is fine, because in later fitness design sprints, I will just update that. And then you've gone through a lot to this point to look at your behaviors and analyze your behaviors. What you want to do at this point in time is look at your definition of fitness and select some key behaviors that you think will bring you closer to your definition of fitness. So once again, I just want to point out that we are not looking at metrics here. We are not saying I need to get to 170 pounds or anything like that. We're looking at the behaviors that will bring you closer to you being able to fulfill this definition of fitness. So just as an example, I have in here, the key behaviors are morning walks, 20 minutes plus to get you out of bed and moving, 140 pull-ups per week, which is just an increase from 120. Go to sleep before 10 p.m., do some daily mobility, which will help you with the running, max 2.2 calories per day to keep your weight to a minimum, which helps me with my pull-ups, 75 push-ups per day, reduced to 3 sets. So try to get 75 push-ups in 3 sets. That's so I can make 50 feel easy, and then run a minimum of 24 miles per week in zone 2, because I'm trying to increase my VO2 max. I'm doing more than that, but this is just an example. So these are key behaviors that you want to put in your sprint. This is important because when we get to tracking, which we're going to talk about in the next video, you'll need to know what your key behaviors are. Then we need to talk about your capacity commitment. When you first start your fitness design sprints, you're going to be tempted to put in more than you can actually do, which is fine, because what you're doing over time is you're trying to understand how much capacity for change you can fit into one sprint. What you want to do with these sprints is get good at being able to change. And what you're going to end up doing, everyone does this, and I still do this, is you're going to bite off more than you can chew. And slowly but surely, you want to figure out how much you're capable of. As you go through more and more fitness design sprints, your capacity to change will increase over time. So take fasting, for example. When I first started fasting, I thought I could fast for 3 days, no problem, but it turned out it was harder than that. Now I fast 1 or 2 days a week if I want to, and it's super easy. I do that as part of this thing called a candy apple diet, which I'm sure I'll talk about later, but it's actually a set of 3 diets: a even diet, a losing diet, and a gaining diet. If I'm on an aggressive losing phase, I'll fast 1 or 2 days per week. And that is super simple for me now because I've practiced it so much. My capacity to engage in that behavior has increased over time. So keep this to, 3 to 4 behaviors, increase it more. It doesn't really matter because you're going to learn real quick as you start tracking this stuff what your capacity for change is. And the goal here is to increase that capacity for change over time. The next concept is we need to cover is behavior stacks. And I call these supporting behaviors. So for example, a morning walk is a key behavior that you want to be able to do. But if you stop there, you're just kind of wishing about something. What you need to do is break that key behavior that you want to engage in down to smaller behaviors, which I call support behaviors, that will help you do the actual key behavior. So for morning walk, you can see things like lay out your clothes the night before, leave shoes by the front door, check your weather before bed. Then you want to kind of think about things that are going to stop you from doing this key behavior. Cold mornings, it could be raining, checking your phone first thing and not getting out and doing your walk. I live in a super cold climate, so in the winter, if there's ice all over the roads and it's snowing, I'll still go out and walk, I'll still go out and run, but sometimes I need to go to the gym and think about that so I can use a treadmill. So you go through each of your key behaviors and look at what behaviors you can engage in that will support those key behaviors. That's actually what we're going to be tracking in addition to your key behaviors. So that is all for this video. In the next video, we'll go over what running the sprint actually looks like and what you need to do on a daily basis to run this sprint. So just to review, set this to 7 to 14 days for your first ones. Select your key behaviors. Don't freak out. Don't overthink this too much. Remember, you're doing experiments here, and go through each of your key behaviors and ask yourself, what supporting behaviors do I need to do to make these a reality? I'll see you in the next video.